Hello, my name is Erin Higy. I am a survivor. Um, I am currently being treated for PTSD from past sexual, emotional abuse. And I have been doing and using creative writing as a way to help cope with some of the symptoms of PTSD that I have, including nightmares and flashbacks and night terrors and panic attacks and all that fun stuff. So from time to time, I am going to read some of the things that I wrote. Um, I do warn trigger warnings, especially for sexual abuse. Um, why I'm sharing this is part of my own healing, but hopefully to encourage others to do the same. For me, journaling just was not doing enough. When I was able to view things a little bit more creatively and in the sense of this is my story, it really did help with some healing. Um, I hope maybe one day that some of this could be turned into a novel, a book, a collection of short stories. But until then, this is just for me and for you guys. So if this helps, I encourage you to do the same. Please share it. Own your stories and let's get through this together. So I wish I could say New Year's Eve was the first time. I was 19 years old in college. After a particularly festive fraternity party, I found us both back in my dorm. I had a few drinks and he was completely gone. I had learned early on to watch his consumption. His promises of being the DD or only having one or two rarely came to fruition. I learned to stop drinking so I could make sure he got home safe and sound. He was an athlete on a track scholarship, an RA. If he got busted, it would have been terrible for him. As a girlfriend, I learned my job quickly, and like with everything, I did it to the best of my ability. As we stumbled into my dorm room, I was giggling and flirty. I was feeling good and enjoying the attention he was giving me as he slurred how pretty I was, how sexy I was, and how much he loved me. I was excited to make out and mess around with the guy I loved and trusted, and with our inhibitions dropped due to some liquid encouragement. I loved kissing. Honestly, I loved kissing him. Kissing to me was the best thing in the entire world back then, and kissing him was amazing. It was sweet, gentle, passionate. This was not the same kissing, though. It was off. It was sloppy. I kissed him like I always did. "You're kissing weird," he told me as he took off his shirt. "Oh, I'm sorry," I said. He had told me one time before, sober, that I kissed weird, and I was very self-conscious that whatever I did that time that he didn't like, I was doing again. I had never had complaints before, but I told myself he was just being honest, and I probably was doing something he didn't like. I rubbed my fingers over my lips. Maybe they were chapped or slobbery or too much lip gloss. He hated when I wore lip gloss. It was too sticky. But it was in fashion, and oftentimes cheaper than lipstick for a college girl on a budget. Before I could figure out what I had done wrong, he grabbed me very forcefully by the back of my neck and pulled my face into his. He was kissing me so aggressively, in a way that I had seen on movies, but it wasn't nice. It wasn't enjoyable. His tongue was ramming into my mouth, and he was biting my tongue and lips. It wasn't playful. It wasn't passionate. It hurt. And his grip on the back of my neck stung as I tried to pull away, and he pulled in tighter. The scent of alcohol on his breath, on his clothes, and his hair was thick and gagging. As I pulled away, my mind and nose could separate each scent and the taste in his mouth. He always started and ended with beer. He started with a few glasses just to feel comfortable around the guys, in the crowd, with the noise. Then it was shots, usually Jaeger or Fireball or Everclear. Then it was back to beer for keg stands, flippy cup, beer pong. I could taste the cheap beer mixed with licorice from the Jaeger as he held me to him, and I couldn't breathe. He finally let go and pulled my shirt off, and I gently pushed him away. "Okay, babe, you're really drunk. Not sure if this is a good idea." He took off his belt and kicked his shoes off, smirking at me, but not acknowledging a word I said. Still softly, gently, I tried to grab his hands to hold them. "It's late. My roommate might come home to get her stuff. Let's just take a second." The look in his eyes, I could tell the room was starting to spin, and he grabbed my tall, lofted bed to steady his 6'4" frame. For a split second, I thought he was going to vomit, which at that point, I would have preferred. Babe, you all right? Why don't we have some water? He grabbed my hair in his hand and yanked my head down to the side. As he talked, little bits of saliva sprayed in my face, the scent still thick of cheap beer and even cheaper liquor. You know you want to. You don't have to play games. You look so sexy. I love you so much. My head couldn't wrap around what he was saying and how he was acting. It seemed like such a disconnect. He pushed me down the futon and climbed on top of me, pulling up my khaki skirt with his hands. He continued kissing me, biting me, pulling my hair, biting my neck, forcefully shoving his hand up my skirt and between my legs. I tried kissing hoping I could somehow get through to him that I wasn't enjoying this. I know how stupid that sounds, but I thought if I could be softer, more loving with my touch, he would get the hint and follow my lead. I want to stop. This is too much. Let's stop for a little bit. I wiggled my one arm out from underneath him and put my forearm across his chest and pushed. He was like dead weight on top of me. He continued with his hands between my legs and slurred a shh out of his mouth. No, I'm serious. This isn't fun. You are hurting me. You are too drunk. I want to stop. He took his other hand and covered up my mouth. Several seconds later, he forcefully jammed a finger into my mouth, an act that normally he loved and I enjoyed doing. But this felt gagging, suffocating, and his finger tasted like metal mixed with beer. I pushed his hand out of my mouth, and he grabbed my face and squeezed it in between his fingers and thumbs. I felt as if he was going to crush my teeth. He took his hand out from in between my legs and forced himself inside me. The next few moments didn't last long. I covered up my face with my hands, but I could see his face in between my fingers. He was glassy-eyed and dizzy and frustrated as the alcohol started affecting him everywhere and made it difficult for him to perform. I don't know what I was thinking for those moments. I don't think I was thinking anything. I barely felt anything but the weight of his body crushing me and the smell of booze. He folded his arm across my forehead and rested his head across his arm. It was as if I wasn't even there, or worse yet, it was a piece of furniture, a desk to rest his head on. He stopped moving and he passed out asleep on top of me, still inside me, too drunk to complete the act. I lay there for what seemed like hours, paralyzed by his weight, numb to what just happened. What did just happen? Nothing happened. We were a couple. He kept telling me he loved me. He didn't even finish. Nothing happened. I love him. He was drunk. He is going to feel so bad about this. Why put him through that? I love him. I was drinking too. Nothing happened. Saliva started to drip out of his mouth onto my face, bringing me back to reality. I slowly began rolling his body off of me, careful not to hurt him, careful not to wake him. I stood up and placed his clothes in a pile. I went to my dresser and grabbed pajama bottoms and a sweatshirt. I caught my reflection in the mirror and saw mascara and eyeliner running down my cheeks, lip gloss smeared down my chin, and red bite marks on my neck. I wiped off my makeup and brushed my hair. I placed a pillow underneath his head and covered him up with a blanket. I grabbed a water bottle from our mini fridge and placed it next to him, just in case he woke up. I also grabbed the garbage can and placed it right by him, just in case. For a second, I sat at my computer desk and played in my head what I would say to him the next morning. I would tell him things got out of hand. He was too drunk. He forced himself on me. I would be careful of my words because I knew he would just feel terrible about what happened. Why make him feel worse, right? I would set clear boundaries. No more drinking like that. He had to be able to cut himself off. We could come back from this. He was my best friend. He loved me and I loved him more than anything. This was unfortunate, but no one's fault because he was drunk. I tied my hair up in a bun and walked over to the futon. He had rolled over and was starting to snore very loudly. I crawled into bed next to him, carefully not to disturb him. I took a small corner of the blanket and covered my very cold feet. I laid my head on his chest, his skin clammy and cold. I could hear his heart beating and feel his chest slowly raise up and down with every breath. I fell asleep on the chest of my beautiful, tall boyfriend, who loved me and thought I was sexy. I fell asleep cuddled up next to the man who just raped me. Thank you.